Hi, and welcome to Eternal Love of Drama. I'm Linda, and this is a channel where two drama enthusiasts share our very strong and very uninformed opinions about dramas that we've watched or didn't watch. We don't know anything about Chinese drama land. We don't know any famous people. We can hardly remember more than 3 actors' names. But we do have very strong opinions nonetheless. And each week we start our show by awarding a prize for a drama or a character in a drama that is superlative in a category of our choosing.
So this week's category is Most Diabolical Family Massacre. So family massacres are very common. They're almost in every single Chinese drama, and they're really like every single drama's episode 1. And so what happens is a family is massacred, and it gives our villains or our heroes 50 plus episodes worth of scheming or fighting or angsting that we get to enjoy. So there's lots of epic fighting sequences, you know, heart-wrenching declarations of love, people jumping in front of other people to block a sword or an arrow or something. So lots of drama, lots of ketchup. And they usually fall within a few categories. So there's like the regime change category where your entire clan gets wiped out. That's in almost every single palace drama in some iteration or another. There's the jealousy category where I'm jealous of your clan's prominence and I'm going to take you down. There's the wrongful accusation category where someone is accused of treason. These are usually tied to like the palace dramas, and then their clan gets wiped out and it leads to, you know, seeking justice and revenge. But then there's also the ones that don't happen in episode 1, where it happens like later on towards the middle or a third. And then the rest of the dramas, I guess, characters sort of either do something about it or are affected by it. So when they're really good, they actually drive a lot of the plot, or they contribute to the mystery that needs to be solved. And there's a lot like of character development that occurs. But when they're bad, there's just a lot of ketchup and a lot of rain sometimes and mud. So we want to give the award to the best and most diabolical family massacre. So Linda, who do you think gets the award for most diabolical family massacre?
I will give my award, my first prize award, to Handsome Siblings, which is a really classic story. In Chinese, it's called 绝代双骄, and there have been many iterations of this, but we are talking specifically today about the 2018-2019 series that is on Netflix currently. So I think that this wins the prize because the plot is centered around not only killing this family, but then trying to get the next generation of this family to kill each other. And this is the premise of the story, so I'm not giving anything away by saying that. But there is like another level of, there is another family massacre that is like revealed mid to closer to the end way through, where one of our villains has turned into a villain and doing all of his villainous things as a part of his revenge for his family massacre. So there's like many layers of family massacre here. If I had to give a runner-up prize, I would probably give it to Nirvana in Fire, which we've mentioned before, one of the few of these that we really, really like. Nirvana in Fire starts with a family massacre that is 31 families. Just by sheer scale of this family massacre, I feel like it's and it kicks off a really fascinating plot. So yes, Nirvana in Fire is my runner-up. What about you?
Okay, so I'll give my award to the massacre in Ashes of Love. And this is not an episode 1 massacre. This is actually something you find out about a third of the way in. And it's like a little, I don't, let me see if I can get the details right. So essentially, like, the emperor is kind of lecherous. He has a lot of affairs with women, and but the empress is jealous. So he has an affair with someone who is a dragon fish immortal. She's like the princess of some lake, and she gets pregnant. And then she goes back to the lake where her family is from. And of course she has to like break off the engagement, but then the empress finds out, and the empress actually comes and massacres the entire dragonfish clan. And then her clan takes over all of their property. So she wins in the end. And then like this is a flashback, and when the son finds out, so she also takes the son because the princess is pregnant, and raises him in the palace in the heaven, right? So the heavenly empress is who we're talking about right now. And then the empress then kills the mother in front of him, and then it kicks off him planning his version of the White Wedding. So during his wedding, he plans an imperial coup, which ends up with his brother dying and a lot of people being massacred, and the emperor being also, well, he, I guess, commits suicide. So it's like very messy, but it's the entire plot driver, because the whole avenging the death of the dragonfish clan is actually what kicks off the first scene, where she's like, the empress took my son away, I'm gonna take her son away. So she sabotages the Phoenix's rebirth, which is how like the two leads get to know each other. So even though it's actually not super well done, and it's kind of like very flashbacky, and it does mix the present and the past, it's the entire driver for all of the plot things, because as a result of Phoenix dying, he then of course gets reborn, and then it kicks off this like heaven versus like the demon world like epic fight. So it's pretty central to the plot, even if I think it's like pretty like badly done. So that's my winner just on scale, right? But I think that and like plot driver, because there's like a mystery, you're trying to figure out who sabotages the Phoenix's rebirth, right? So that's my award. And I agree with you, like on the sheer scale of it, like Nirvana and Fire's like episode 1 Family Massacre actually wins, is a strong runner-up, because not only is it those like 30 plus families, and one of them being the crown prince's family, but it's like the 70,000 soldiers, and then it's the whole reason why the entire thing happens for 50 more episodes. So I think that's a solid like award.
And we've talked about this a little bit, but I don't think that I would want my family members, my sister, to spend the rest of her living days plotting the revenge of my murder. Just to maybe like a year or so would be fine.
Well, I've said that I want my sibling to spend like a significant amount of time plotting my revenge. And I've given my sibling some like thoughts for as how this might happen. So, you know, I think it's like a worthwhile reason to live.
Is that why you pressured me to watch Nirvana and Fire? So that I would have some ideas about how to avenge the death of my sibling?
Well, so this is the thing. Like a lot of people, I've heard a lot of reviews say Nirvana and Fire is like Chinese like Count of Monte Cristo or something like that, which I think is because they probably haven't read the Count of Monte Cristo. In the Count of Monte Cristo, that guy is out for personal vengeance, right? And he's like righting like a wrong that happened to him, like he was like personally wronged. I feel like Nirvana and Fire tries to elevate that by saying like, you know, seeking justice. So I think it's a little bit of a different flavor. In Ashes, it was pure vengeance that like drove all of this, right? Like, you took my son away, I'm going to take your son away. And like, you killed all my clan, I'm gonna like kill all your clan, and I'm gonna usurp the throne and be the king of everybody, right? So it's sort of like, it depends on like where you fall. Like I would like my sibling to be somewhere in the like just exact vengeance, like one for one, but I would like my sibling to
I don't get to rule the entire heavens and earth.
I mean, like the whole thing is, if you're gonna bother to do it, you should do it like thoroughly, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like, so if you're gonna, so this is why I don't think 1 year is worth it. This is why I think it has to be epic, because if you're even gonna spend 1 year thinking about vengeance, you might as well like wipe out their entire clan.
Okay, well, if I'm gonna spend 20 years avenging your death, then I'm gonna also become the supreme ruler of the universe as a result of it.
12 years is the average.
Okay. All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Uh, this week we're going to review Handsome Siblings,
Yeah.
and I'll start with a quick synopsis. So the whole premise of this story is that this is a jealousy family massacre, the first one.
Mhm.
And so this guy, whose name I can't remember, the dad, has these two sisters that both fall in love with him, but they are really, really powerful martial artists. And he actually falls in love with their maid, or somebody that works at their palace. And so he and this palace girl are deeply in love. They try to run away from them, and she's pregnant. And the first episode is just this violent massacre of these two people, that is orchestrated. Um, do people know this? Is this a spoiler? That is potentially orchestrated by these two sisters. Okay. Oh, you figure it out in the first episode. Doesn't matter. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
ruining
it
anything.
doesn't matter.
But then they have this diabolical plot that what they're going to do is, so right before they die, she gives birth to twins. And so their family massacre extends beyond like killing everyone in this family. They decide that they want to have these twins. They take one of them with them, and they want these twins to grow up being told that they need to avenge their parents' death by killing each other. So they don't, in theory, know that they're twins. So it's not just killing the family, it's trying to get the like second generation to kill each other. So as the story progresses, eventually these two young men grow up, they go out into the world, they meet, and they struggle between knowing that they're each supposed to kill the other one, and they're like, they have a connection and they feel like they become really good friends. And so that is the plot of Handsome Siblings.
There's also a little subplot too where they're solving a crime together, right? And they're trying to figure out like who is also the mastermind, because it is the two princesses from the palace, but it's also
But
like
there's
to
a
your
lot
point.
going on that they're not responsible for. Yeah.
Yes.
And that is the other family massacre that I referred to. There's an evil villain and his evil son who are exacting their revenge for their family massacre.
Also on the dad.
Right.
So did you feel like it was actually that they were both of those princess sisters were diabolical, or do you feel like it was the older sister that wanted to kill both the kids and the younger sister kind of wants to stop her, but this is her clever way of getting her sister to not kill the kids?
Yeah, I do think that was the case. So I think the older sister is definitely more evil, and the younger sister, I think, I think she came up with this idea to buy them more time so that the babies wouldn't be killed.
Yeah.
Then she isn't really able to like stop it
Right.
once she set this in motion. The thing about suggesting a terrible plan to a terrible person is that it may not end up the way you think.
Right. It definitely didn't end up the way she thought, because she got killed in the end, right?
Spoiler! I don't have my spoiler.
Sorry. Whoops. I'm really bad at that. So what did you think overall? Like, would you like?
Okay, so I think that this drama gets more points for me because of nostalgia.
Okay.
Like, we definitely watched a version of this when we were kids,
Yeah.
and it was like a nice throwback for me. I definitely don't remember watching it. Like, I can't picture
Mm-mm.
what these people look like, but I
Mm-mm.
like when I started to watch it, I like remembered the people's names.
Okay.
Like, um, like of course Zhang Xiaoyu, who's like
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
brothers, and Hua Wuque, the other brother. So I think that the Zhang Xiaoyu character is like really, he's this like really charismatic, really playful guy who, despite growing up in this place called the Wicked Canyon, and being raised by these like psychopaths, who are very, very bad people, he turns out really like to be, and this is a very common theme that is in many of these wuxia dramas, where it's like people are out in the martial arts world. There are these people who belong to these like good sects, right? Not with the crazy eyebrows, but like the good sects. And they are righteous and heroic. And everybody else is sort of thought of as like wicked or evil. And there are a lot of these stories that explore how people that don't come from those righteous sects are actually the heroic and good people, and the people from the righteous sects are often, in the name of preserving their sect or whatever, quite evil. So, anyways, I think this is one really good exploration of that theme. I think that there are things that I really liked about it. Like I enjoyed watching that character. I think that he is, he really like brought that character to life, and it was really fun to watch. I think that like there were other elements of this show that were just fun. But I wouldn't say it was like great. There were lots of things. You don't like it as much as I do, so why don't you tell us what's wrong?
I mean, okay, so I appreciate what you said about the nostalgia, because I definitely agree. I also remembered that we watched it and that there was a character named Zhang Xiaoyu, right? Because that's kind of a fun thing to remember. And I also remember that there were like characters that were like animals, like zodiac. I mean, I guess I remembered like those types. But then like when I watched it, I was like, oh, I don't like any of these characters, right? Like what I felt like was, for the most part, like maybe 80% of the characters were actually very two-dimensional and just like flat, right? So like the 12
characters are all
yes, so like the 12 zodiac killers or whatever, right? They were just like I don't know, they were weird, and I think that they're supposed to be weird, right? Like eccentric, but they just came off as being like comically bad to me, right? So I didn't enjoy them. So essentially like a whole bunch of the characters I just didn't like. Like I didn't like that lady that had Zhang Xiaoyu and the other dude trapped in a cave. Like
He's supposed to like be collecting these young handsome men as like sex slaves, but somehow they managed to stay there for a long period of time and avoid completely, like it's ridiculous.
And like I just like, and even some of the side characters, I felt like they tried to make them interesting, but they just failed. Like the Mu Rongzhou backstory, and then how she falls in love with the guy with the like hat. What is his name? The spider. Like I don't know. I thought that had potential to be interesting, but it wasn't, right? And so I felt like a lot like the side characters were just caricatures to like make it so that there are events. And then I think the characters that I disliked in particular, like number one, I could not stand the Tie Xinglan character. She just drove me nuts. And then
the female lead.
She's the main female lead, and she's supposed to be caught between like the brothers, and she's always trying to protect both of them. I found her to be like so annoying. And then like very late in the game, we meet Su Ying, who is like
we don't meet her till like it's almost over.
And then like I was very confused when I first met her about why, like, her intentions and why I should care. But then I also didn't find her to be that compelling, right? So in both of the couples' cases, I found them not to be evenly matched. And I didn't like enjoy watching either of those two women, especially how like weepy and annoying they both got at the end, like about their guys dying.
It's definitely just a story about those two guys, right? Everybody else is sort of secondary. I do think that the supporting characters who were interesting are some of the villains from the Sida Eren, right? Like not the lady with the underground sex slaves, but like the gambler guy.
That guy was funny.
Really fun.
Yeah.
A really good character that had a lot of depth and like had experienced growth throughout the show, you know. The doctor,
he was good.
Yeah, from the beginning was sort of like, what's going on with you? The rest of them were yeah, you're right, like it's definitely just a story about these two guys. I think that I vaguely remember suing a larger role in the one that we, but I don't really remember. I wouldn't bet anything on it. But yeah, I think that it was, I don't know if it's the source material or if it's just the like adaptation. It is not super long. It's like 40 something episodes, I think, on Netflix. So perhaps like things were sacrificed in the shortening. I don't know. But you're right.
Okay.
Like there isn't depth to everyone else.
But it does make it so that the relationship between the two of them like actually shines. So that's like the one reason to continue to watch it, because like you see a very natural progression of like them getting to know each other, and then like coming to an agreement about their relationship, and then actually liking each other until like the end, right? So like even having a very sort of civilized gentlemanly discussion about like who's going to kill who. So I felt like that was like the one thing about that show that was redeemable, is like they actually played the siblings like well, and that relationship was both believable and actually like interesting.
And their really sweet birthday scene was very nice.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. Like I think that they had that two actors clearly had good chemistry, and they both like played their relationship really in a way that you wanted to like root for them, which is more than we can say for many of the romantic stories that we have watched. So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think what else I liked about it.
Well, tell me how you feel like, tell me how you think it, like, you felt about the ending.
Well, I kind of feel like I knew the ending. Like I wouldn't have been able to, like if you had said tell me the ending, I would not have been able to do it, but I kind of feel like I knew that what happens. So I don't think I was, I think I was slightly disappointed by the fight scene. Like I think that this, when it comes to like if you like watching fight scenes, like the family massacre in episode 1 I thought was really like well choreographed, like multi-dimensional fighting. And the at the end they just really, like that last episode, they were trying to like flower petals and like clouds, and it was just not I don't know, maybe they were trying to make it aesthetically befitting to two brothers who very much like did not want to kill each other in a duel to kill one another. But like it was for me, you know? And with the happy endings with the couple, well, spoiler, with the two couples, like, you're right. Like neither of them were particularly compelling. So yeah.
So this is what I was also disappointed in, right? I wanted there to be because like the character that I also liked is the Yin Nantian character, because he actually looked like he could do kung fu, right? Like he was like not like 95 pounds with no like muscle, right? And like he actually does like flash some brilliance throughout like several of the episodes where you're like, I want to see this guy like fight somebody, right? And so first I thought he was going to fight Zhang Biehe, but that didn't happen, right? That just kind of ended like wah wah, right? And then I thought he was going to get to fight one of the princesses, but that also didn't happen. So I was just epically disappointed that like the person in the show that is clearly the strongest martial artist never fought anyone equal to him, and it was like it just didn't happen.
And then he comes back and he's like, okay, I'm out, peace, I'm retiring.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, dude? But I think that that he was a good character. And then I was like, I felt the fake him that was his friend. Like I felt like that was unnecessary. I'm like, what is happening with that? I don't understand. Yeah, so I think that it has maybe like it could have made some different choices with the source material that it had. But yeah, it was a little bit of a letdown. Like I was really excited about it because I remembered like Jiang Xiaoyu, and like it started out strong, you know, like good fight scene, epic massacre, nice setup. But I also want to talk about that what you mentioned being like sometimes you watch these
Uh-huh.
shows and these people are supposed to be like powerful martial artists. I'm thinking specifically about that guy that was in Ashes and he was in the win and the winner is love and like
Yes. What is
he
his
had
name? He's in like
no zero muscle tone. Like
yes.
how are you supposed to be any kind of martial artist if you have like how like I guess he has to be in these like xianxia movies where there's magic because there's no way based on the body you see there that this person can like
No, no, no.
imitate.
He always plays someone that is like supposed to be like really, really, really good at martial arts, right? Like in I mean I only ever watched one episode, but isn't he supposed to be like the master, the like of in And the Winner is Love?
He's
Like
supposed to be
he's
like
super powerful.
super powerful.
Yeah.
I'm yeah, I just like it's such a like there's I don't believe it. It's unbelievable to me at all. Like completely. I don't know. But I think that Zhang Xiaoyu maybe. Um but
Scrappy.
yeah. And okay, here's my beef with the Hua Wujue actor who
Okay.
also played their dad.
Okay.
He's wearing so much makeup, and you can see that he's wearing makeup. Aren't the like people who do makeup on TV supposed to make it look like they're not wearing makeup?
I mean, unless that's part of like his character, right? Because he's supposed to
He's
be
wearing
like all
makeup.
white. No, like, but he's supposed to be like all white and like, you know, stuff
Well,
just
he is.
right.
His name is Wu Chue, which
Right.
means like no
Perfect.
flaws.
Yeah.
But
I
he's
mean,
wearing too much makeup.
okay. Well, yes. So like there's one person in that entire show that looked like they could do martial arts.
Yeah, and then he was in a tub for most of the show. Disappointing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not the strongest on fighting.
What else do we have to say about Handsome Siblings?
I don't have anything else to say, and I have to well, except my confession that I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched it to the end, but not all of the scenes.
Okay. Well, so I don't know if you watched this then I will give one more spoiler
Okay.
and say that the Jiang Yulang, the evil guy's
Yeah.
son,
Yeah.
I loved how his demise at the end. Like I
Okay.
loved like it gave me the satisfaction, like this real like satisfaction of like that feeling of justice.
Uh-huh.
Because he got away with a lot of really bad things for so long. And I like who enacted the justice and how it went down, and it just made me joyful.
I feel like I remember because it's the girl, right? She like attacks him.
Try not to say it, but yes.
Okay.
Oh,
And
it's like our whole thing is like trying to like give spoilers without giving spoilers.
well, I mean, so just remind me, did like he know it was her?
Mm-hmm. And his
Okay.
dad got to watch.
Okay. Okay. So satisfying then.
Yes, it was extremely satisfying.
Okay.
There was a scene like that in Under the Power where the one-eyed guy gets taken down by the person who like deserved it the most to take him. So yeah.
Maybe that's like something that we can talk about is like the takedown scenes. Like which are the epic takedown scenes?
What did you think of the villains in this though?
Well, okay. So I thought that the dad, Zhang Biehe, the dad villain, was pretty good as a villain, but not like great. Because I thought like some of the reasons I thought he was pretty good was like there's at one point he's like caught kind of red-handed, and like what he does is he like just blames his son and then he chops his son's arm off, right? So I thought that was like pretty like that was brutal, right? And like very befitting of a person that has that character. But at the same time, the next scene is he's like sad about it, right? And so then I'm like, well, you know, why are you sad about it? Like, so clearly it was interesting because it wasn't that he like was evil, but he like wanted this evil empire, like with his son, right? So he like, so it was like weirdly evil sweet, I guess, where he wanted it to be like a father-son enterprise.
So here's the thing, like, he, I don't know what they want us to feel about this, because like almost towards the end they reveal his family massacre as his motivation. So
Yeah.
he is now set up in the same way that our heroes are set up, right? They
Right.
are here to avenge the massacre of their family. So in a sense, their motivations are the same. And I guess if you want part of your revenge for your family massacre to be the proliferation of your family, then your son needs to be involved in some way. So I think there's some inconsistencies if we really like took the time to like look at that character, because of what you point out and the fact that like, I don't know, it just like he, yeah, I think it's a more of an exploration of the theme of like good and evil and who's good and who's evil. And like,
Yeah.
I do think that his son is not, like, we've seen him in some other things. I don't think he's a great actor. Like, I sometimes, he does the thing where, I'm gonna take my glasses off for this. Okay, so I'm doing something and now I'm doing something evil. Bug my eyes out as big as I can, because that's
Yeah.
how you like indicate that you're like, that kind of acting I can't deal. Like,
Okay, so this is, I think you bring up two really interesting things. So first, like the family massacre revenge arc goes both ways, right? And so I hadn't thought about it that way. So like if you looked at the entire other side of the coin, it could be that like it is that like the family that he's from, right, gets massacred and we don't know why. All we're told in that one flashback is that they were evil, right? But we don't know why they were evil. Maybe they were wrongly accused. I don't know, right? But he then spends his entire life plotting, like 18 years plotting this revenge, right? Because like, and part of his revenge is he's going to take over the martial world. So he's like the like person that's all the clans like respect, and he's going to set up his empire. But he's going to set up his empire and continue to do horrible evil things, right? So like he controls like Xinglan's dad, like with that bell thing, which was weird. But then he also does like these other scheming things. So he gets like rich and he has like money and power. So like this makes it different though than some of the other like revenge arcs, right? So
money and power is what was taken from him. Not, I don't have sympathy.
okay,
I'm just
okay,
saying, you really
but
want
like,
to look at it from both
but
sides.
he like takes it out on the wrong people though.
Well, yes, but
So
like, history is told by the victors. So,
but he didn't,
like
so I would argue that he didn't actually like, did he actually get like the revenge? Because okay, so on a money and power perspective, yes, he definitely does. He has both of those things and he has like the prestige. But like it, like who are the people that like killed his family? Like did he ever do anything to them? And instead of just destroying like the Zhang family who adopted him.
I can't remember.
Right. So like, so I feel like there's like maybe a mismatch between like the vengeance and then the victim of the vengeance. Whereas it's like a lot cleaner in some of the other ones. Like in Ashes, like we knew the Empress was like a super jealous, basically a terribly evil lady, right? And she's very two-dimensional. She wears the eyebrows and the scowl the entire time, right? And so like, you know, she's going to be driven by like jealousy and power and like the desire to make her son like the next emperor, right? So that's like very typical, and it 100% is consistent. And she gets taken down, right? So she's the one who destroyed like the Knight Immortal God's like family, and she gets taken down. So like, and then you know he gets all the revenge that he gets exactly matches like what he thought like was wronged, right? And like, so like that was a good match. In Nirvana and Fire, there wasn't like necessarily a revenge, although revenge was a component of like this bigger justice, right? Like these two people did like terrible things to my family. They deserve to be taken out of power because they're abusing their authority, and we're going to do it epically. But like B, we're going to get justice, which happened.
Well, but I think is a revenge, just like, you know, they are like the Mei Tangsu is like a broad-minded person, and so for him the wrong is that the wrong people are like usurped power, and the right people were killed, and as part of the right people being killed was those his family and all those other families. So like the revenge that he's seeking is for the right people to get in power. So I just think that he's like not like thinking of it in that like interpersonal, like you killed my family, I will kill yours. It was that you bad people usurped power, I'm going to usurp it back.
Yeah. But also I think that like there's like an interesting line in that about like that someone like the emperor's brother says about like, well, we're all one family after all. And I think that like I was maybe a little slow on the uptake because the first couple of episodes of that had just too many characters for me to like follow, but they're all related. Like this is his family.
So family massacres in like, I mean, every like because we talked about calling it like, you know, most evil sibling or whatever, but like like it's just like everything that has any kind of like palace component to it where people are like killing each other for power, and they're all killing their brother and other family associated family members. So
I mean, I see the appeal of it. If like killing my sibling could guarantee that I would have like unlimited power and wealth, I would be tempted.
I mean, what's the line though? Like how much, like does it have to be unlimited? Would you do it for a lesser amount?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's federal statute about this. Okay, this is going to be my final point about this family massacre thing. Is I wonder, right? And I think this is an East-West thing, right? Like culture-wise. So like some of these things, right? There's a family massacre in The Untamed that bothers me greatly, right? And this is when the Wen family is like killed. This isn't like the epic battle at the Nightlit City. This is when like all the women and children are killed. So clearly this violates the Geneva Convention, right? And even things like killing a whole clan because they express disloyalty, like in some of the palace dramas, like those are all violations of the Geneva Convention, right? And like no one ever says, hey, we need like government accountability to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen. Like they all just want to replace it with another like emperor or something like that. And I wonder if it's like when you're like, if you're Chinese and you're watching this, like do you like also feel that way, like, hey, like red flag on Geneva Convention, or do you like just accept this as like a cultural phenomenon, because it's like been ingrained in your history?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting because we talk about like when you watch any of these shows that have this like, if there's an emperor, right, and they're like they're like sending these noble troops out to like put down the invasion from the, like it's always like invaders or like barbarians or, you know, but like what we're talking about here is imperialism and colonialism. Like China is like a collection of conquered lands, right? So like how much nobility do you want to attach? I don't know. I think it's complicated. I think it's how like British people love democracy and also having a queen. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's like it's interesting to juggle the multiple contexts that we can look at these things, because I do think that like there is definitely in this genre of story like the theme that the answer is to put better people into power and not to like but I think it's also because they think of like their ruler as like an extension of like the heavens or whatever, so they don't like, they would not think there would be like a Geneva Conventions or a list of rules that might supersede the whim of the emperor, because the emperor is just the chosen son of the heavens, like, you know, supreme. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So like that annihilation thing, it's like so I think last week I talked about like how I hated Goodbye My Princess, but that's the story, right? Like they go and they annihilate one of the Western tribes. Even in like this is what I wanted them to say more about in Nirvana and Fire, which is like a lot of the plot, sorry, spoiler, is orchestrated by a princess of a tribe that like got annihilated by the emperor, right? And so it's sort of like there's like always going to be like this factor, and like the question is um like do people, I wonder if like this makes it so that people like as they see this are more accepting of it, right? Like because it becomes part of your cultural worldview that like everyone that's not part of like that's not like proper Han Chinese or part of the right like family, like when they're wrong they should be like absolutely wiped out for being wrong.
Well,
Like
their whole family, everyone, all the servants in their household, all the children and women, so that they cannot proliferate the wrongness.
yeah.
Like, family massacre is like an accepted like punishment.
Yeah. And the only person that really ever fights against that is like Wei Wuxian in the Untamed, right? So he's like trying to save like the like families, the like women and the children and the elderly, and actually gets ostracized as a result of that. But like nowhere else, like
No.
have we really seen anyone fight against the norm?
Yeah, like no one ever says like, and there's a little like under the power, a little bit of resistance, but like usually also I
Okay.
will say that somebody always escapes. Have they
Oh yeah,
not learned this lesson? They never get them all.
right. But then there would be no drama if they got them all because we
Exactly.
never
That's why we
about.
have these wonderful stories of lifetimes of revenge plotting.
Yeah.
Um, they're just not that good at it.
That's because it always takes less time to plot the initial massacre than it does to repeat.
Yeah.
Which the average time for that is like we've seen 12, 16, and 18 years. So
Okay, so would you recommend this drama? Would you watch it again? Probably not, since you didn't watch it the first time.
I mean I watched through it, like I finished it. I just didn't watch all of it. Um, I I guess it like okay. So there's two things. So first, I'm glad that Netflix has so many Asian shows on Netflix now. They have the Untamed, for example, which I think is definitely worth watching. But I also just didn't like it that much, and so I don't think I would watch it again. It does have a strong nostalgia pull for me, and so like maybe like I would like I don't know. I don't think I would watch it again, but I enjoyed like skipping through it again and like being reminded of our childhood. Although, as you say, like I don't remember anything that like was part of the story.
Yeah. Um, Same, probably. Like I think I would recommend it.
Okay.
Even though I don't, with caveats that I don't think this is the best, because I think it's approachable and it is a good representation of the themes of the genre.
Yes.
I think if people are like, what's wuxia about? Like, this is like a nice representation of that. Whereas as much as I freaking love the Untamed, like it's hard to get into. So
right. Well, you had to talk me through it the
yes,
like 4 times that I tried before I.
it's I had many attempts before I made it through, but like so I think the barrier to entry is low.
Okay.
I think that it is, parts of it are very lighthearted and fun. And it just is a good like picture of like what wuxia is. And so I like it. Don't love it. It's not perfect. But yeah, there is. But also, I think that assessment is also strongly tinged by the nostalgia of it. So, but it's a classic story. That's why it's nostalgic, because it's like, you know, yeah. So that's our review of the handsome siblings from these handsome siblings.
All right, come hang out with us again next week. I think we're talking about like I don't remember.
Chinese drama.
Chinese drama. All right. Bye.
Bye.